Well, yeah, let's let's go ahead and get started. The impetus for this session, or what I was hoping to showcase, is really just some great opportunities for marketing in Kansas, and some features from some growers who have done some pretty cool and amazing things with their farms and the ways that they've found markets and ways to serve their community at the same time. So I really wanted to highlight those, and I wanted to thank our speakers for coming today. So without further ado, Janelle Dobbins is here from the Land of Kansas program, the Kansas Department of Agriculture. And Janelle, if you want to take it away, that'd be great.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Ryan. I will share my presentation here. There you go. So as Ryan said, I'm Janelle Dobbins with the From the Land of Kansas program. I'm the marketing manager of it. And if you're wondering what's From the Land of Kansas, who are we? We are the state's trademark program. We're designed to promote and celebrate agricultural experiences of products grown, raised, or produced in Kansas. So we offer a lot of different benefits for beginning farmers, for folks who are more established, for small ones up to large ones. So who can join? Farmers and ranchers, producers, value-added manufacturers, restaurants, agritourism, retail partners. We have lots of different opportunities for you. So with From the Land of Kansas, you do have to have items that are 100% of the products grown, raised, or produced in Kansas, or the products processing, manufacturing, or craftsmanship is done in Kansas. For restaurants, we have if they're Kansas owned or they serve one or more primary Kansas food ingredients, and they have to identify which food products are in that. And then businesses that provide an agricultural-based experience in Kansas, who are part of the agritourism, work with Kansas Tourism and with us. And then if businesses offer 3 or more Kansas products for sale in their store, they can also be a From the Land of Kansas member. So what type of benefits can you have? And we have both free and paid benefits, and this is for any size of business. So we offer UPC barcodes if you get to a point that you're doing a value-added product or some product that's needing a UPC code. We also have use of our From the Land of Kansas logo. We have listings, and I'll be showing examples of some of these things later on. So we have listings on our FromTheLandOfKansas.com site. We have access to our e-commerce platform, marketing assistance. We also do events and trade shows like the Kansas State Fair. And then we have newsletters that go out to members, and then a different newsletter that goes out to consumers. And then discounted rates with the Kansas Value Added Foods Lab or Meat Lab. So if you're needing to do testing with either of those, as a From the Land of Kansas member, you can choose that benefit and get a discount. And then after my presentation and stuff, I'll drop in a link so you guys can see what all benefits we have. To just walk you through a couple of the more popular ones, one of them is definitely using our From the Land of Kansas logo. There's a picture. You can use it 2 different ways. You can get stickers from us and put it on your product, or you can actually get the files from us and have it printed on your labels. But we did a brand study back in 2020, and 80% of those people said that they were more likely to purchase an item with the From the Land of Kansas logo than without. They really felt it showed the trust and recognition. Another super popular benefit that fills up pretty quickly is to be our social media member of the month. So obviously only 12 spots are available each year, but that month, all month long, we talk about on our social media about you and your business. We tell your story, we promote it, share some of the fun events. This is Free Day Popcorn Company out of Belleville. If you've never had their popcorn, you should really try it. It's really good. But this just shows one of the posts we did for that. Also, as I said earlier, we do have an e-commerce site. So shop.fromthelandofkansas.com is where our businesses, some of them use it as their primary e-commerce site, so they don't have to build their own. And we have some businesses that have their own e-commerce site, but they also sell on our site. So we have everything from sunflower oil, honey, popcorns, barbecue sauces, pet treats. Our logoed items are for sale on that website, but it just makes an easy way. If you don't want to have to build your own e-commerce site, you might be able to sell through ours. We also do, and I know most of you guys are beginning farmers and ranchers, you're probably not here yet to actually having a value-added product, but once you get there, we do every holiday season do a big Give the Gift of Kansas holiday box program. And so that's another benefit our members can always choose to be a part of. So as I've been talking about, we kind of have 2 different sites. We have our main FromTheLandOfKansas.com site. And you can see across the top, we have About Us, Services, Farmers Market, Kansas Businesses, What's New, Shop Site, and Join Now. And you can find more information about everything I'm talking to today on this site. But one of the big things is when you're a member, you get placed on our interactive map. And you can see over here on the left-hand side, you actually get to pick the different categories that your business would fall within. And so this map is also used by consumers, and all those little dots is when they actually click on it, they can actually find more information about you. And we also have it separated by region. So we do have folks that go to this map and they can find out, oh, I'm traveling along here. Here's some stops I could do. And this is absolutely for being a free member. You get a listing on the map, you get a listing on our website. That is absolutely free. And this is just showing even on our website, then if you can just go look at all the member businesses, we put the description you give us about it. We have also direct links back to either your email address, your website, whatever you want. So there's more easy ways for consumers to find information about you. And how to sign up. So one, we help you make sure that you have all the proper licenses, because we know that's one of the big questions at first is folks are like, well, do I need a license? Do I not? We will help connect you with meat and poultry, food safety, dairy, any area that you might need assistance with. We'll make sure that that all gets figured out. And then actually just otherwise to sign up, you submit an online application. And then we do a renewal every year. And some folks ask us why. And we just prefer to do it every year because we want to make sure when a consumer goes to our site that they have the latest, greatest information about your business. You might have forgotten last year that you added something new or you want to tell consumers about it. So the renewing process every year just makes it a little bit easier for you to say, oh, okay, yep, I want to make some changes to this. Oh yeah, we actually got another new email address, but that's why we do the renewals. And as part of the renewal process, you get to pick new benefits. So we have a whole set of benefits, as I said. Some of them are free and then some are paid. And some of them go super fast, like our state fair benefit, I will say, is one that fills pretty quickly, usually in January and February, but we have others that are open throughout the year. So no matter when you join From the Land of Kansas, you would have some options of things to work with us on. And we always tell you, stay in touch with us about new events and opportunities. Like we want to share your information out to everyone. And so the more you tell us of what you're doing, the more we can do that. Also, we are the Central Farmers Market registration point. So if you start selling at a farmer's market, make sure your market's registered, because just like our members, they get a free listing on our site. They also get placed on our map. We can help them with different resources. We have marketing, social media. We do a large farmers market month promotion in August of every year. So if you're also selling that way, just kind of make sure your market's getting all that extra marketing help without issues. Now, the handouts, and this is, as you can kind of see, it says in the upper right-hand corner, food sold direct to consumers in Kansas. This is a handy dandy booklet. You can get a hard copy from us, or we do have it online. But this talks every type of thing you might be wanting to sell. Do you want to sell lettuce? You want to sell baked goods? And it takes you through saying, hey, do you need a license or not? And like on the lettuce, it also partly depends on, are you cutting? Is it just the head of lettuce, or are you doing more work on it after that? And this will put that all out. We also have a sampling safely guide. So if you're wanting to sample on your farm or at a farmer's market or anything, and then also if you would go to the point that you're doing value added, we have food labeling ones. And also at the Kansas Department of Agriculture, which we are a part of, we have specialty crop block grants, organic certification cost share programs, and then ag stress assistance. So on our specialty crop block grant program, the current one here for 2022 closes in March 31st. And this is probably for most beginning farmers just something to know about, because I will say on this particular specialty crop block grant, it does have to be for the greater good of the specialty crops. It's not just something you would apply just for you, but definitely anyone as a new farmer, you want to be getting involved with like the Kansas Association of Specialty Crop Growers or different groups like that. Like look for those groups around Kansas. And if you're not sure if there are ones, reach out to us, reach out to KRC. We will happily connect you with any of those. But this specialty crop block grant program, as I said, closes on 31st of March, but it does work to enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops. And particularly right now, we are doing through a grant, we got a specialty crop webinar series. It started just on Tuesday and it goes through the 5th of April. It's every Tuesday from noon to 1. And this coming next week is going to be on floriculture. I know we have one on doing value added agritourism. We just finished with Ben Hartman, who talked about how to farm on a half acre, doing lean farming. We have multiple topics. They are going to also be recorded. So if you register, you'll get a link to the recording. But these are really great things to just know. And we end the series on a marketing note. So I would definitely suggest signing up for this. And as I said, after this, I'll drop all these links in the chat box so you can all have a chance to sign up for things. We also do an organic cost share program. We are waiting to hear what funding we're going to get in 2022, but usually we kind of know later in the fall. So if you are wanting to do organic testing and everything, and you have that, just let us know and we'll kind of try to keep you updated if we get that funding, because usually we then try to reimburse about up to $500 per category on that. And also, as we know, there is some stress with farming because we have very little control of the weather, which is a very big part of it. Particularly, we've had the windstorms and everything earlier this year to remind us. So there's a lot of organizations that came together to make this Ag Stress Assistance website. So you can go to kansasagstress.org. You can find local and national resources. So if anytime you're needing that, just remember to go on there. You can find out about mental health, different resources, and just know that is always available 24 hours a day to you. So you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can always visit us at fromthelandofkansas.com. And then our shop site is the shop.fromthelandofkansas.com. And I know I talked super fast because I know we have two other also great speakers today that are going to be talking about things. And I know I threw a lot of information. So as I said, I will go in the chat and drop some links and everything. But if you have any questions, you can always reach out to myself or to Sammy Gleason, who's my marketing coordinator. But we would love to help any of you if you are wanting to start farming, or if you've been farming for a while and didn't know about us and want to be part of the program. We are here to help you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of good resources there. The Specialty Crop Block Grant is promoted by the Kansas Department of Agriculture, right? Or that one is, there's a number of federal grant programs also helpful for, producers scaling up and different stuff like that, but that's a Kansas specific one, right?
Yeah, the Specialty Crop Block Grant program is through the USDA. And
Right.
then sometimes From the Land of Kansas has been able to get their own Specialty Crop Block Grant through that. This last year, we did conference reimbursement for folks going to specialty crop conferences. And then in addition, we're doing this webinar series as the grant we received.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Scott, would you be ready? Looks like you're muted right now. Sorry. I'll just welcome Scott Fellman from Juniper Hill Farms and Sunflower Provisions, and really excited to hear about your journey from starting your farm and associated businesses. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So unfortunately, I don't have a presentation put together.
Okay.
But I can kind of talk about our journey over the past decade or so when it comes to how our farms kind of developed as we've grown. And then also kind of talk about where we're at and the different marketing channels we serve through multiple businesses and kind of the requirements to serve those markets. So once again, as Ryan said, my name is Scott Fellman. I'm a first generation farmer in Lawrence, Kansas, and owner of Juniper Hill Farms and a co-owner of Sunflower Provisions, which is an online direct to consumer grocery marketplace in the Lawrence area. So Juniper Hill is what I first started with. Originally, it was a high school job baling hay. I bought a very old square baler and started in that way. And then as I went off to school and realized that agriculture is something I really wanted to pursue, or production agriculture is something I wanted to pursue with my life, I realized, unfortunately, that hay and corn and beans, just not only the access to equipment in terms of cost, but also access to the amount of land required to do that was going to be too much of a burden as a first generation farmer. And so kind of started to rethink, well, what can I produce that has enough value to where I can make a living on a smaller amount of acreage? And that came out to specialty crops. And so back in 2010, I think we applied for our first high tunnel grant with the USDA NRCS under the EQIP program, and built our first tunnel. And then from there, it's just kind of been this snowball effect of our operation getting bigger and bigger, and frankly growing up throughout the years to serve. I don't want to say more professional or larger customers, but customers with higher expectations of their vendors. So today we serve regularly probably a few dozen restaurants, a number of school districts, a number of grocers, such as Whole Foods, Hy-Vee, and then cooperative grocers in the Kansas City area, and small independent grocers, and then also serve wholesale markets. So that could range from selling to some of the produce wholesalers in the Kansas City area, to working with corporate institutions. So large scale, I guess, corporate food service companies that hold contracts for office buildings in Kansas City and such. And so I guess beyond that, we also do direct marketing for Juniper through the farmers market. And so we've got a number of different avenues we sell through, including selling to our own business, Sunflower Provisions, but we've kind of tried to diversify our operation out to where we can produce at a scale that our cost of production is reasonable, and that's allowing us to glean more dollars per unit of that consumer food dollar when we are selling direct to the consumer. And so, for instance, I guess my best example there, just throwing out numbers, if I'm selling maybe organic zucchini to a grocery store wholesale, it's going to be $1.25 to $1.50 a pound. Versus at farmers market, we might be at $1 to $1.50 each. And so really we're pulling that retail value that a Whole Foods, which is one of our customers, might be selling for on the shelf, and bringing it back to the farm. Well, our cost of production, because we're of scale, allows us to produce that and make a profit at that $1 to $1.50 a pound, selling to Whole Foods wholesale. Well, now we're pulling in that much more with that direct to consumer side. But I guess with that, there kind of be the caveat of there's ups and downs to any market you're working towards. The one thing I've learned over the years as our farms kind of matured and grown, is I had to start thinking differently about how I was growing and how I was seeing my produce. And so, I kind of like to think about it like when we started, we were thinking about it by the bunch, going to maybe one farmer's market or selling to one restaurant. I remember the first time, I think it was Free State Brewery in Lawrence, ordered a case of radishes. And Kyle and I are like, holy crap, a whole 24 bunches of radishes. And, we had to like hop into gear to like do that. And as the years went on and we got bigger, we moved from thinking by the bunch, which is kind of that farmer's market level, to thinking by the case, which is when you start to enter kind of that smaller scale grocery store level, those smaller independent groceries and co-ops. And then, the past few years, it's been transitioning from thinking about produce from the case to the pallet. And each one of these changes in thought of how we see our product involves a large number of steps behind the scenes, such as adding additional infrastructure in terms of pack house space, cold storage, insurance, food safety inspections, all of that. And to get back to it, as our farm's kind of been thinking about our produce by the pallet, we had to add in an additional about 700 square feet of cold storage and dedicated rooms that are true cold storage, not just cool bot rooms, things like that. We're now GAP inspected by USDA. And so we have our pack house and fields inspected for food safety, because our larger customers that are buying stuff by the pallet require that. Where we're at now is starting to potentially or aspiring to think about produce by the truckload. And that's going to put us into another realm of food safety and another realm of insurance. And so that's going to be a big investment on our end to take that next step. And so, as you're growing your farm, it's nice to have kind of that short, medium, and long range kind of. And I won't say I had it all written down in a business plan, but have that mindset of where you want to be, 1, 3, 5 years from now with your operation. Because if your goal is to be direct, to stay just a few small acres and maximize your dollars per acre, and serve your local community, there is no need to start thinking about writing SOPs for sanitizer for organic versus conventional produce, or going out and finding new boxes because you might be able to reuse your crates or harvest totes to take to farmers market. But if you start scaling up, you have to start thinking about, well, really, it's kind of been the definition of the year, but supply chain. You have to think about your supply chain and how all of the logistics, including your food safety and food safety record keeping and stuff, tie into one system. As we expanded, we realized that we needed propagation greenhouses to bring all of our transplant growing in-house. And so, we've got probably about 50,000 transplants sitting in the greenhouse right now, ready to go. They're putting tomatoes in another greenhouse today. And so, it's definitely what comes first, the chicken or the egg, is the scenario we're at in that next step of expansion. We can get a significantly greater amount of business and expand our farm if we put this investment in first, but it's hard to justify that expansion without knowing that your sales are going to grow. But I just kind of wrote down, wholesale in terms of going direct to, I'll throw out just as an example, a Cisco or a CNC or Liberty Fruit, which are some of the wholesalers in the Kansas City area. Your biggest issues are going to be food safety, seasonality. Any of those companies want to buy for as long of a season period if you have. And so a great example is our head lettuce last year was a little delayed with a little bit of a cooler spring, and then it got warm towards the end of May. And so our season ended up only being about 2.5, 3 weeks of quality lettuce. Well, they want an 8-week season because then they can really market it to their customers for a time. And so, you have to think about what crops really work to try to move wholesale in our area, and also the perishability. Spaghetti squash, if you can't move it all in 1 week, you can hold it back and sell it over a period of time. That being said, it's a lower dollar per pound item and requires more storage capabilities than head lettuce. Direct store delivery, which is what we're doing to deliver to a Whole Foods, a Hy-Vee, a restaurant, another produce stand, roadside stands, things like that. So basically serving that customer directly. It works well, but I just drove by our gas station in Lawrence today. Diesel's $4.20 a gallon today in Lawrence. And so you really have to start thinking about the efficiency of that and making sure that you've set up, minimum orders, or having fuel surcharges, different things like that. And unfortunately, we're having to re-implement our fuel surcharge because we're getting eaten alive right now. And the biggest thing we learned on the direct store delivery is when we first started, I think I mentioned that case of radishes going to Free State Brewery in Lawrence our first year. It's like a $30 case, and when I think back then, Kyle and I spent hours together picking it and washing it and then taking it to Free State and then driving back. And, I probably had $70 in a $30 case of radishes that day. That's how I think a lot of us, especially on a small scale, think, because a sale's a sale. Well, it's not always a profitable sale. And so, even for our customers in Lawrence, we now have a $200 minimum. And that can be something that as you grow your operation, you can change. You have to think about what works for you. Because for a lot of producers just getting started, A, $200 is a big sale, but B, you might not have the diversity or quantity of product to be able to deliver $200 of product to a restaurant or a small grocer, or, your first wholesale customers. So that's something definitely to consider as you scale, and knowing that as you scale, you're going to need more than just the backseat of your car to make those deliveries. And so then you have to have a delivery truck, cold chain, insurance on that, potentially DOT numbers, things like that. And so it can build very quickly. Farmers market is obviously a very easy way to get started. I think if I'm remembering right, Lawrence Farmers Market in Lawrence does require some sort of insurance or liability insurance, but it is fairly low. And so it's a fairly minimal, easy entry into the market. But once again, as a small scale producer, if you're taking everything there, you really do need to sit down and figure up your costs at the end of the day and see if it's worthwhile. Because that's a lot of Saturdays, that's a lot of time to get to that point of actually truly making a living off farmers market. And I think that's something where I struggle thinking at times about some of the programs that we've seen across the US, where we're really trying to raise up this new generation of farmers that are thinking that smaller scale. And I just worry that we're raising a generation of farmers that will never be able to work full time on the land, because we aren't teaching them or giving them the strategies to become mid-sized farms that can move larger volume and bring in enough income to truly make a good, just, sustainable living. And I guess the last thing I'd throw out on the vegetable side for Juniper would be produce auctions. So there are times when we reach a certain amount of perishability on products, and we don't have a good, strong market for it. So we're either having to push it under our cost of production to a wholesaler just to move it, so we aren't losing all the value from that product, or we're taking it to places like the North Missouri Produce Auction. There's one or two produce auctions in Kansas. You're mainly going to find them in German Mennonite, Amish, German Baptist communities across the entire U.S. But around here in particular, they fall into a lot of the Amish and German Mennonite communities. And it can be very hit and miss. And so at auctions, you can't just expect that you're going to make nothing or make a killing. You have to kind of think about an average price throughout the season if you're going to be marketing through an auction. I remember right around the 4th of July last year, tomatoes were still bringing $50 a box at auction. So, I mean, it was over $2 a pound wholesale. It was actually more than what we were contracted with Whole Foods for. But that being said, a few weeks later, those same tomatoes at that auction were going for like $14 a case because the glut hit. And so for those growers that are going to auction, you have to kind of hedge your risks of early season production, late season production, knowing that a lot of farmers are coming online with tomatoes, mid-July. And I guess if I've got another minute or, couple minutes to talk about sunflower. So sunflower provisions was something my partner and I started in 2020 with the advent of COVID. With all the shutdowns, we all of a sudden lost our school districts, our restaurants, and our corporate accounts that we were serving. And so, for Juniper and our produce side, it wasn't terrible because our grocery store sales picked up. And yes, we lost those markets, but we weren't in the height of growing season. I think we would have had a much different result had, let's say COVID hit in July, in terms of how worried or nervous I was at the time. But my partner in sunflower, who's a local meat distributor in the Lawrence area, the majority of his sales were to restaurants and institutions as a local meat distributor. And so, he was going to be very seriously impacted, and therefore his producers that he distributes for were going to be seriously impacted. And so the two of us quickly built out, it was a very simple Squarespace website when we started, a little e-commerce site. And before we know it, just in 2020, we served over 12,000 orders off of a Squarespace site. And so it kind of blew up. And it allowed us to not only purchase from additional local vendors for direct to consumer, and so being able to offer a little bit of a premium to our to our growers that we were working with, but it also allowed both of us that access to the consumer. Both Michael and I's businesses outside of Sunflower Provisions, except for us doing farmers market, which we did for fun, didn't get us into the hands or the eyes or the pocketbook of a consumer. I love selling to Whole Foods. They are a fantastic customer, but I show up at the dock, they check off what boxes are on the pallet and they sign it. And that's our interaction with our food when it leaves our hands with a wholesaler, or a truck comes and picks it up and it's a truck driver that can't stand kale, but he's picking it up because it's his job. And so having started Sunflower Provisions, we now have that line of access and communication direct to the consumer. And I have to say, it's really, really fulfilling. But once again, had quite a few hurdles in terms of, the marketing working with consumers is a totally different world when it comes to marketing and customer relations, delivery networks, logistics and routes, even packing boxes and order of deliveries so that you can put it onto a truck to make logistical sense of it. And so it's been a huge learning curve for us on that side to build a grocery business that works. But it was as simple as, once we upgraded from the Squarespace website, we moved to a Wix platform as our background for our website, which is, I believe, free. I could be wrong, but if it's not free, it's a pretty cheap subscription annually. And it's relatively user-friendly to set up. We hired a company to build our website for us, but the background e-commerce side that we use on that is WooCommerce. And we found that had the most add-ins and plugins available to us to be able to grow in the long, thinking 1, 3, 5 years out. It'll allow us to grow and modify our website, as we grow and expand, versus, the Squarespace we had that, although it's simple and relatively user-friendly, didn't allow us to grow how we would like. That's really about all I have, except to say that with Sunflower Provisions, we've been thankful to kind of follow a dream Michael and I had, to have a processing kitchen in our region, because that is one market we don't serve currently, is the processing market, because there's really no processors or value-added kitchens in our area to further process those number twos, canners, and et cetera. And so hopefully we've been dealing with supply chain parts issues getting in electrical components for our new 3-phase system, but hope to have it up and running by the end of March. And we're really excited about that. I'd love to think year one that we'll be purchasing from other local producers, but being realistic when it comes to getting our HACCP plans completed and moving beyond just direct to retail sales through Sunflower with our own farm products, which will kind of fit within our initial boundaries. I think it'll reasonably be 2023 before we're up and running in a true wholesale processing format in terms of the canning and freezing of vegetables and things like that. So hopefully that answered a few questions. That's what I got.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. That's very informative. I just think it's awesome what you've achieved there. And I was just going to note that your family was named one of the Kansas Farm Bureau's Farm Families of the Year last year, right? So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So yeah. Well, I'm sure there's questions for you, and I would say folks throw them in the chat, or we'll come to them at the end. But I move on to Donna if that's okay, and we'll circle back around. But thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, sure thing.
Good afternoon. I'm Donna Pearson McClish with Common Ground Producers and Growers, and it is good to see you, Scott. I know you've been busy. It's good to see you. I am the CEO of Common Ground, and We do have slides. And I'm just going to give you new farmers, some of the pitfalls and the kind of information that I wish I would have had when we started, but we're here. So let me give you a little bit of background. Mobile Market started in 2014 with 7 locations. We became Common Ground in 2016. We serve Sedgwick, Harvey, and Butler counties. During COVID-19 pandemic, we collaborated with community partners to provide more than 1 million pounds of food to Wichita communities through Farmers to Families food boxes. 2021 season, we've moved approximately 12,665 pounds of fresh produce, and about 8,000 pounds, including that from that produce, is donated to organizations, individuals, and families. So we practice zero waste. We don't let anything go to waste. Anything that's not usable is either composted or we give it to the ducks, chickens, the goats, and the sheep. So next slide, please. So I wanted to talk to, this is some pictures of our mobile market. We do have 3 delivery vehicles. Started out with 2, we got 4, and we had to retire our 1994 Dodge and our 2000 Honda Odyssey. It has over 300,000 miles on it. But I ran across an article in the Salina Post that says mobile markets are here to stay. So at the top right hand is one of our delivery vans, our 15 passenger. Top left hand and the bottom left hand is Farmers to Families food boxes that we loaded on our pickup truck to deliver. The next photo is we're delivering Farmers to Families food boxes during COVID to Breakfast Book Club. And then the other photos are we're setting up for our senior programs. We're setting up to donate to churches. We're set up at senior sites, and one is on the outside where you see the young gentleman standing. We're inside one of the senior sites, and on the far right hand, we're outside of a senior housing facility. So we serve senior housing facilities, low-income HUD housings, individuals, families, anybody needing food. We attempt to get food to them. So that's kind of what our mobile market does. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk to beginning farmers about some marketing opportunities that a lot of our farmers know about, but they tend to forget that there is some help with our national association. So one of the opportunities is with marketlink.org. MarketLink is, you can go to the next slide, please. MarketLink supplies our farmers in their first year with MarketLink with free equipment. So you get a free EBT and SNAP, and they help you do all of that connecting to that platform so you can access your EBT and SNAP program for your consumers. And that broadens your market. So when you go through MarketLink, and you need to do it quickly because they do run out of the free equipment applications, you complete the eligibility application, you complete the USDA SNAP retailer application, which when you do that through MarketLink, it helps you to move through that process a little easier and a little quicker. And you get your FNS authorization and permit. So when you set up your EBT and SNAP, then you set up your credit, debit, merchant accounts, then you receive and set up your equipment. So MarketLink, once you apply and get on that platform, get on their website, they help you guide you through all of that process. So when you finish, you have your first year free equipment. You have you're set up with your SNAP, all of your SNAP documents, and you're ready to go and get your equipment, and you're ready to go with your market to take your equipment that is mobile with you wherever you go to expand your growing process. Next slide, please. So when you're approved with MarketLink, you'll get assistance with your SNAP application, 1 year free use of the Total Pay Go app, which was previously Mobile Market Plus. You get a free SNAP EBT card reader, No per transaction processing fees, printer waiver, and the option to add integrated credit debit processing with discounted rates. Thank you, Janelle. That is the website to go to get all that information. And Janelle just put in the chat that there's a market link video. Oh, from the land of Kansas. Okay, good deal, good deal. So next slide. So we know seniors and children are our most vulnerable populations. So our next target audience, after you get all of this SNAP equipment, that's low income. That's people that are SNAP certified that have their food stamp card. Then we're going to talk you through the senior market voucher process that can also extend your marketing and your profitability. Next slide. So the senior market nutrition program helps low-income seniors, and it's designed to provide low-income seniors with access to locally grown fruits, vegetables, honey, and herbs. So what the seniors receive is a booklet of seven $5, they increased it, 7 $5 checks that can only be used at the farmer's market. Now, the services that the mobile market provides is for those seniors that don't have transportation. We go to their housing places and allow them to buy from the market. All righty. And so I'm sorry, my phone just went off. So Courtney says that she is the senior market voucher coordinator for Kansas. We have her on board. That's wonderful. The market vouchers allow seniors to go to the market and pick out their produce. They have fresh produce all season long, and they have to be used from the time they're distributed in June to November 1st. That is when they are used. They have to be used. Hold on just a second. Thank you. Yeah, Courtney Koning put her information in the chat. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Can we go to the next one? So there's 5 areas that I thought about as we talked about marketing opportunities. For us in the mobile market, word of mouth was our major way to get our what we do involved in the community. Tell your story. Let people know how you got started. Let them know what your plans are. And most importantly, let people know why you are serving your community. The why is important because in communities that you serve, you have to become knowledgeable of that community or become a part of those communities that you serve. So why you're serving your community is important. Secondly, collaborate with other farmers. Shop Kansas Farms is going to have a farmer extravaganza today and tomorrow. So we're visiting tomorrow to meet the farmers in our area because Common Ground works with a network of growers. We don't just grow everything ourselves. We work with a network of growers and we help to move their food. Thirdly, K-State Research and Extension Growing Growers Program. They have farm tours, they have training opportunities, and they work with growers through the county extension agencies. They also have apprenticeships for farms if you're interested in apprenticeships. The farm tours and the training opportunities are wonderful opportunities for you to get together with other farmers and trade information and see what everyone else is growing. Next is the Kansas Rural Center. Take advantage of every opportunity for training and keeping update on current farmer issues. And also with the Kansas Rural Center, they help train the beginning farmers. So if you want information is key to getting out into the communities and to getting your name out there and to getting your services out in the communities. And then finally, join your local Farmers Union chapter. In Sedgwick County, we have a fairly new chapter. The Kansas Farmers Union is the organization that helped launch Common Ground in 2016. And we've been exposed to National Farmers Union, national conventions, farmers all over the country. So if you are interested, join your local farmers union chapter, but get involved with community events that are going on. So your name and your purpose gets out there so people will know what you do and how you do it. And that's the way you get, that's one of the most important marketing pieces that we found that helps us. Neighbors, seniors, churches, we're mobile, so we're kind of all over the place. And those people are important because they begin to tell your story and they begin to say, well, I know someone that needs food, or I know someone that needs the mobile market. As a matter of fact, KWCH did a story for us the other day. And yesterday I had a lady call me and said, I saw you on KWCH and I want to come visit the farm. So those types of things get you exposed to the community and exposed to what you're doing. And then one of the pieces I didn't want to leave out is your local farmers market is a wonderful place to go and visit and pass out your cards and see how farmers markets are done. And K-State Extension can also help you with that. There is a farmers market on the grounds of K-State Extension on 21st and Ridge. So there's a lot of opportunities to help you out. You don't have to be out in this forum by yourself. And if there's nothing else that you can do or you can think of, call Ryan and Tom. And they can get you on the right track. So that's what I have for today. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I see some good information in the chat. Video about the senior market vouchers. Courtney says you can reach out to her with questions from either the farmer or senior side. And then Janelle says there's a list of farmers markets across the state from the land of Kansas. So there's plenty of information out there for beginning farmers and those that want to start on their venture of farming and farmers market and marketing vegetables. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Yeah, I always love the story of Common Ground producers and growers and this finding of a need where these senior market vouchers maybe weren't being utilized a whole lot, in the fact that maybe people can't make it to the farmers markets, that you go to them. I just think it's such a great, amazing story. So thanks for everything you do, Donna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. We've got some time for questions for any of our presenters. So I hope you have some questions.
Yeah, I had a question for Janelle. Hi, I'm Pantaleon. I have a farm here in Lawrence, Kansas. You'd mentioned the specialty crop block grant and how this year it's kind of being, the funding is going more towards, like, I can't remember quite how you put it, but it wasn't more so as individuals. It was more of like the collective push for specialty crops. Did I understand that correctly? Or yeah, maybe
Yeah,
a little
so
bit
the
more on that would be
USDA
helpful.
program of specialty crop block grants, which is where the Kansas Department of Agriculture gets their funding from, is it has to be for the larger entity of specialty crops. So sometimes I'm trying to remember, I don't believe KRC has gotten one recently and stuff, but usually it's been organizations. K-State Research and Extension has applied for them because it's either doing some types of, it might be like doing testing or figuring out how to propagate tomatoes differently or something. It's to help the industry. Now, From the Land of Kansas, 2 years ago, applied for a specialty crop block grant and received it. And then we were able to give out individual grants to people to do continuing education at different specialty crop conferences across the, well, I would say across the United States, but that was when COVID hit. And so then we did an extension on that grant, and that's how we're being able to have the funding to do the webinar series that we have happening right now. So it's kind of like so that's what I always tell people on the larger specialty crop block grant. It's just either working with organizations or a group to write a grant that's going to help the industry as a whole. Or sometimes we, as From the Land of Kansas, do get some funding through that same series, and we are able to give out more individual grants. Does that help clear that up at all?
I think so. Yeah, I'd kind of seen it in passing a few times and wondered what exactly it funded, like if it was like funding individual farmers who are trying to like bring like, for example, I grow a lot of Mexican food products that aren't typically grown by other producers around here. I wasn't sure if it was like helping, individual farmers, like, for example, with my jicama production, it's not something that's really produced around here, but like, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was for like individual farmers introducing more specialty type products to the local market, or if, like you said, it was more organizational stuff. So I think
And
that
I'll
cleared it
and I was
up.
gonna say, and I'll drop another link in here that gives more information about that grant.
Awesome, thank you.
I think in that situation, if an organization like KRC or From the Land of Kansas were to work with a group of farmers trying to, increase the production and marketing of those products, that would probably be the way that the assistance would get directly to you, but it's kind of a lead agency from a nonprofit or governmental thing, I think, to increase the whole, if that makes sense. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's great. That explains it really well. Thank you both. Yeah.
And I would say, just to chime in there, like through my experience and talking with K-State about potentially doing tomato trials and stuff. Yeah, it could be as simple as partnering with, in terms of accessing these funds to create that market, whether it be the marketing side, that you're finding somebody to partner with for the better of the industry, or even just doing, I doubt USDA would have like a county expected yield for jicama in Kansas. And so, just partnering with a K-State or other grower organization, Kansas Farmers Union, Kansas Farm, to do some studies to know what the potential economic best growing practices or economic potential of a crop in Kansas. That would probably be a pretty strong block grant.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
I might look into that too, because like I started it 2 years ago to see if it was viable, period. Like, do we have a season for it? We do. And then next year was like, how can I like scaling it up just a little bit to see how much I could do with how much space. And so like this year is about really like taking it up like a whole nother level. So hopefully, yeah, that might be awesome to look into.
Yeah, and that link I dropped in, if you scroll to the very bottom of it, we actually have all the recipients listed from 2007 to currently, and with a paragraph of the definition of what their grant kind of covered. So that might also help give you some different ideas of things you could look at.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, and this is Donna Pantaleon. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Pantaleon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're also always interested in expanding our grower network, and we serve a large Hispanic population. So I'd be interested in you getting in touch with us. Our network grows every year, and we provide more and more access to produce. So I'm going to put my information in the chat, and you can get in touch with me. Thank you.
That sounds great.
I'm also going to drop in the chat the USDA value added producer grants, which would be a little more direct. Help you scale up and that I don't know if jicama would qualify for that, but in other ways, that's some good direct assistance for maybe establishing your own kitchen, a commercial kitchen environment, or the things like that, the processing equipment that you need. So yeah. Other questions? We've got some of the best experts Kansas has to offer in the room.
I will also I'm going to drop in the chat right now. The Kansas Department of Agriculture, we have licensing guides for lots of different things. Everything from if you're wanting to do a dairy farm, if you're wanting to do a farm winery, lots of different things. And so it's a quick, easy way to see some of the things you need to do to make sure if you're wanting to, and we have it for microbrewery, mobile food unit, all types of things there. So that might be helpful to some.
I would also add one more thing that I've been appointed by Governor Kelly to serve on the State Board of Agriculture. So if there's any beginning farmer issues or anything that you'd like for the State Board of Ag to look over and address, please feel free to contact me. My information is in the chat. And we'll be more than happy to do that, because the State Board of Ag is looking for solutions to problems. And those that offer the best solutions are the people that are doing the work. So please feel free to touch base with me or reach out or send a message to the State Board of Ag with your concerns and issues.
I guess that's my cue to chime in and say I'm also was appointed by Governor Kelly to
That's
serve on
right.
the Ag, and so we need somebody from the northeast side of the
Yes.
state to talk to. I'm that guy, I guess.
Mhm.
Because
Scott's northeast, I'm southeast, so we got you covered.
it was very neat to see, both an honor and a privilege, but then very neat to see both Donna and I come in as Governor Kelly had an opportunity to nominate more people to the State Board of Ag. Because if I'm not mistaken, Donna, you and I are the first specialty crop growers, marketers, producers that have gotten to take part in that. And so it's been really, so to this point, a really enjoyable experience getting to meet the other members of the State Board of Ag, but then being able to provide that little bit more different perspective. Me more as a mid-sized grower, and then you very much more in the urban and
That's right.
distribution within vulnerable communities. And so I think the state Department of Ag is really showing that they are valuing and seeing specialty crops and kind of diversification within agriculture as something that is on the way and that they need to invest time and effort into. Just
Exactly.
Nell here is a really good side.
And I just want to add to what Scott said. They're also recognizing the necessity and importance of urban agriculture to help feed our families in the urban areas. So they are broadening. It's taking a little push. It's taking a little time, but they are broadening their perspective in those areas. So we're glad to serve you. It's an honor and a privilege to serve our constituents. Thank you.
And you can all keep we will be having the annual Kansas Ag Growth Summit in August. We'll be announcing those dates here in probably the next couple of weeks. So, and specialty crops is one of the sectors that definitely gets talked about a lot. And we have really been I've now been with KDA for 5 years, so I've been getting to watch the growth of the specialty crop industry in Kansas just exploding, which has been great. And that's one of the sectors I also work with. So I know KRC will put it out in their information, we'll put it out in our newsletters and everything when the date is ready. So we may have some of it in person, some on Zoom, so always get involved with that. And also if you're a specialty crop grower, I'll drop in the Kansas Specialty Crop Growers Association information, because that I know Scotty's in that. I believe that's a really great group to get connected with for learnings, information about grants and everything else.
Just wanted to throw out a Zoom hack to all of our farmers who are on right now. If you go to the chat box, there's a little ... that lets you save the whole chat. So you can save all the links and all those emails and all those numbers. One of my favorite things to use. So yeah, if anybody wants to save all those links, you can just save the chat. My favorite Zoom hack.
Great.
I'll transition that to just advertising our webpage for Beginning Farmer Resources one last time. I would love to hear from folks what kinds of resources you think are missing or things you want to highlight or ask us about. Hey, can you help us find, access to this kind of thing? Try and build that for the betterment of all. That may not be a quick thing, but I'll do my best to get you what you need. So yeah, thanks so much. And thank you to all our speakers. This was really excellent. I really appreciate you all joining us. So again, thanks for coming, and stay in touch. Hopefully we'll have more and better resources for beginning farmers with all our partners across the state going forward. So have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thanks.